a few hours of activity. But if the user hasn't traveled a lot, hasn't found a lot, you will be able to recover the activity for a whole day. Okay? But remember, with the logcat tool, you can change the log size, and you can, in a malware, you can multiply the log size by 10 or by 100 in order to be able to gather user activity for a month or for 2 months. So now you have complete geolocation, calls, and SMS history tracking with nearly or no permission needed. How to protect yourself now? Don't buy an iPhone. I mean, Android security model is quite strong because for each application you have a different user ID and group ID, which you don't have on iPhone. Okay, iPhone applications share the same rights. You don't have so much fine-grained permission model in iPhone. Okay, and you don't have hidden or forbidden API on Android. I mean, Apple can forbid API usage. This is not the case on Android. So the security model is much more stronger in Android phone. So don't buy an iPhone. Okay. A few recommendations. First of all, carefully look at applications that use the NDK. Okay. Does anybody in the room care about that? It's nearly impossible to see because you have to download the APK archive file and extract it in order to see if there are .so files in it. Okay. You can't do that from the phone before downloading the application. So this is actually a hard part, right? Be careful also not to install any application requiring read logs permission, because we have seen that this allows the developer to recover your entire location, calls, SMS activity. So don't install any application requiring read logs permission. Don't submit bug reports, or at least disable the submission for system logs, because you have the choice. By default, system logs are sent during bug reports, okay, using the Google Feedback Client. But carefully have a look at the Google Feedback Client and uncheck the box which sends the system logs. So you will be safe. You can reduce the logcat buffer size for your privacy. Okay, so this is a bit tricky and a bit buggy, but you can try logcat -r and logcat -n to play with the log size and the buffer numbers, right? You can clear your logcat regularly, so this is very easy, and you don't need any permission to do that. So even with a non-rooted phone, you can clear your logcat, for example, in a cron task or using a dedicated application. So this can be done with logcat -c, or you can disable radio logs, but it's a bit tricky, and you probably need root access to do that and to patch the startup script of your phone. So this is a bit hard. Have a look at a small demo now. So this was very hard to do an actual scenario here because I didn't travel a lot this day. I stay here, so this is not very interesting. So I will show you just how to actually. Okay, the virtual machine crashed, so this, this is not a good case. But what does the tool? I will release a Python tool after the event that actually dumps the logcat when you connect your phone via USB, dump the logcat, collects the different cell IDs, and resolve the cell IDs in latitude and longitude, and builds a Google map with all the different positions in the day, okay, with their associated dates and time. So you see here, this was last August. I went back to home after work. So my work is nearly here. You see, I've left the work at 6:20, and I arrive at home nearly 14 minutes after, but I stay at home up to 11 p.m. Okay, so you have here nearly 5 hours of history in the phone. But I travel quite a lot because I crossed nearly all Paris in order to go back home. So I will release the Python tool in order to do that, to automatically do that from any Android phone. This will be on Google Code, right? After the event. So that's all, folks. Hope you enjoyed the talk. Many thanks for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
All right. Thanks very much for the great talk. Time for questions. Can we get your mic and you use this? Right.
Hi, I was wondering if you have had experience running your Nexus 1 or any Android phone with disabling the logging features of the radio or turning the logcat to the radio device file to 0 and seeing if there's any problems or issues with the Android system while you do that.
Well, sorry, can you repeat a little bit more slowly?
If you reduce the log size of the radio device file to 0, I was wondering if you have tried this on your Nexus 1 or any Android phone and noticed any problems.
Actually, I never tried to reduce to 0 the log file, but it won't raise any issue. I mean, the radio log are never read, so this is not a problem if you reduce the log file at the minimum size. I don't know what is the minimum size actually, but this won't be an issue, and this is recommended for privacy.
All right. More questions? One question, 2 questions from the interwebs.
Yes. So the chat room wanted to know since which version of Android included error log reporting.
Which version of Android are vulnerable? All versions since 1.6 at least, but probably 1.5.
Okay, and then the other question was that question was from Nuremberg. The other question was from down in the Hack Center, and somebody said that they just checked on 2 Android phones and there was only MCC and MNC in the log. Could it be that the information recording the cell ID is only acquired and logged if Use Wireless Networks is activated in the My Location settings?
Perhaps they have not enabled the geolocation by network in their settings.
Okay.
Because you have an option to use Google Maps even if you don't have any GPS or Wi-Fi. So there is an option which is called, I think, use network location or something like that. Perhaps it's not enabled.
All right. More questions from the audience in the back?
Hi. I tried the lock cut on this X10 Sony Ericsson phone and it doesn't have read access. So probably it's not working for all the phones. He said every phone is possible. With root access, of course, I can log all things, but normal users doesn't have read access on all the logs he mentioned.
What did you actually try to do?
I used the terminal application,
Yeah.
which is quite similar to the debug mode, and typed logcat and says permission denied. No read access for other users.
Yeah.
RW.
Yeah, that's normal because the terminal application hasn't the read log permission, so you cannot read the logs from the terminal application.
Okay,
you
so
need
in
to read the
debug
log.
mode you have more rights.
Sorry?
In debug mode, I would have more rights. You mean?
I didn't catch, sorry.
Okay.
Would he have the permission in debug mode?
In debug, no. It depends on the application. The terminal application doesn't have the read logs permission, so you cannot read the log unless you are root. Okay, when you use a rooted phone, you will be able to read the logs with the terminal application. Yeah. Or you can read the log from an application which have the read logs permission, or from NDK, from a native application which use NDK, okay. Right? Other questions?
Yeah, you said that NDK does not use the rights management. So if I download any app from the market, can it be that it has more rights than actually listed on the rights list because it uses NDK internals?
NDK-enabled applications will have more rights, which doesn't mean they will have all rights, because they will be limited to Linux permissions then.
Okay, but it means that not every right needs to be listed in the rights list when it uses NDK.
Sorry?
So, well, if a normal Dalvik app, lists every right that is requested, for example, GPS location, right to read GPS location. But if you do it over NDK as an app developer, this right doesn't show up in the list. Is it correct?
Yeah, if you use any native API, this will not be listed in permission used by the application.
Okay, and do any market apps use native API?
Sorry?
Do any apps listed in the market use this API, this native API?
Of course, yes. You have several video player which for performance reasons use NDK for video decompression, for instance.
Okay,
so if you have a look at, for example, vPlayer, which is a really nice Android video player, it will use NDK for video decompression to read DivX files or AV files.
Okay, there's another question.
Hi, so is there any way to tell when I install an app from the market if it uses the NDK compiled code? Is there any way to see it from a user standpoint?
Unfortunately, you cannot see it from the market, so you have to download the APK archive and extract it in order to see if there are any .so files inside. But there are no way on the phone, in the market application, to see that. You will have to use a file manager to extract the APK and see if they are .so files.
Okay, one last question.
Hi.